The Valeri Empire had conquered 17 civilizations across 3 galactic arms before they encountered humanity. Their success had always followed the same pattern: overwhelming technological superiority, swift decisive strikes, and unconditional surrender. They expected Earth to be no different. They were wrong. Admiral Kitath stood on the bridge of the Valeri flagship Eternal Dominion, his iridescent scales reflecting the pale blue glow of Earth on the main viewport. His secondary hearts beat with anticipation as he prepared to log another routine conquest in the Empire's vast archives. The preliminary scans had confirmed everything they expected. A Level 3 civilization, barely capable of interplanetary travel, still reliant on chemical propulsion and crude projectile weapons. "Begin the standard greeting protocol," Kitath commanded, his mandibles clicking with practiced authority. "Show them our full fleet strength. Let them understand the futility of resistance." Across Earth's skies, 3,000 Valeri warships materialized simultaneously, their quantum drives creating brief auroras that turned night into day. The display of force had broken the will of countless civilizations before. But as the humans' primitive communication channels erupted with chatter, something unexpected happened. Instead of panic, instead of immediate capitulation, the humans responded with an organized precision that caught the Valeri completely off guard. Within minutes, Earth's defensive platforms, crude but numerous, launched synchronized salvos of nuclear-tipped missiles. The Valeri's quantum shields easily deflected the primitive weapons, but the coordinated nature of the response was troubling. "Admiral," First Observer Thelak reported, her crystalline sensory organs pulsing with confusion, "we're detecting thousands of smaller launches from the surface. They appear to be evacuation vessels." Kitath's primary heart skipped a beat. No species had ever attempted mass evacuation during first contact. The standard response was to protect population centers, to preserve infrastructure. This was different. The reason for humanity's strategy became clear moments later. As the Valeri fleet moved to standard conquest formation, preparing to disable Earth's major military installations, the evacuation ships suddenly changed course. They weren't fleeing. They were attacking. Each vessel was packed with nuclear devices, crude but effective fusion bombs, and primitive but deadly kinetic weapons. Evasive action. Kitath roared, but it was too late. The humans had correctly guessed that the Valeri's automated defense systems would be calibrated for advanced energy weapons and quantum torpedoes. The relatively slow-moving human ships, registered as non-threats by the Valeri combat computers, slipped through their defensive screen. The resulting battle was unlike anything in the Empire's records. Human vessels, hopelessly outgunned, deliberately rammed Valeri ships at relativistic speeds. Nuclear detonations, while harmless to Valeri shields at range, proved devastatingly effective in point-blank explosions. For every 100 human ships destroyed, a Valeri cruiser fell. "They're insane," Thelak whispered, watching another human vessel vaporize itself against a Valeri destroyer's hull, taking the much larger ship with it. "They must know they can't win. Why do they continue?" Kitath's answer was cut short by a priority alert. Somehow, human commandos had managed to board 3 Valeri vessels. The Imperial Marines had contained the breaches, but not before the humans had transmitted detailed scans of Valeri technology back to Earth. "Admiral," his tactical officer reported, "the humans are adapting. They're modifying their weapons based on the data they've gathered. Efficiency against our shields has increased 47% in the last hour alone." Kitath felt a sensation he hadn't experienced in his 2 centuries of military service. Uncertainty. The humans were losing, badly, but they were learning, adapting, evolving their tactics with a speed that defied comprehension. Even as their cities burned and their fleet was decimated, they continued to fight, continued to innovate. "Send the signal," Kitath finally ordered, his voice heavy with an emotion no Valeri word could quite capture. "Withdraw to distance point Gamma." Recall all ground forces. Sir, Phylex's sensory organs pulsed with shock. We've lost only 12 ships. The humans have lost thousands. Victory is still. Look at the tactical display, Ketath interrupted, pointing with a scaled finger at the holographic battle map. See how they're adapting. Every engagement teaches them. Every ship we destroy makes the survivors more dangerous. If we continue. He left the thought unfinished. As the Valari fleet retreated to a safe distance, Ketath drafted his report to the Imperial Council. How could he explain that a primitive species, outgunned and outmatched, had forced the mighty Valari Empire to reconsider its approach? How could he convey the terrible efficiency with which humans learned from their defeats, the speed with which they adapted Valari technology to their own ends? In the end, he wrote only one line. The humans do not fight to win. They fight to learn. And they learn faster than any species we have ever encountered. The conquest of Earth would have to wait. First, the Valari Empire needed to understand how a Level 3 civilization had managed to do what no other species had done before: survive first contact with the Imperial fleet. On Earth, amid the rubble of their devastated cities, humanity was already at work. Salvaged Valari technology was being studied, reverse-engineered, and improved upon. In labs and workshops across the planet, humans pored over the data their sacrificial attacks had purchased. They had bloodied the Empire's nose, but more importantly, they had learned. The next time the Valari came, Earth would be ready. And the Empire would learn what humanity had known all along. Sometimes the most dangerous opponent isn't the one with the most advanced weapons, but the one who learns the fastest from defeat. 6 months after the Valari retreat, Dr. Sarah Chen stood in an underground facility deep beneath the Australian outback, staring at a holographic display that shouldn't have been possible. The captured Valari technology hummed with an alien resonance, but the modifications her team had made were purely human. Where the aliens had sought perfection, humans had embraced chaos. It's not pretty, she admitted to General Marcus Rodriguez, who watched with arms crossed. But it works. We've managed to recreate their quantum shield technology using our own understanding of particle physics. It's crude, unstable, and burns through power cells like nothing we've ever seen. But it works. Rodriguez finished, a grim smile playing across his weathered face. How many can we produce? That's the beautiful part, Sarah said, pulling up another display. We've simplified the design so much that any moderately advanced manufacturing facility can produce the core components. We sacrificed efficiency for reproducibility. The Valari would probably be horrified. Around them, the remnants of Earth's military leadership gathered. The first Valari attack had devastated their conventional forces, but it had also given them something invaluable: data. Every sacrificial ramming attack, every nuclear detonation, every failed boarding attempt had yielded information about Valari capabilities and weaknesses. We're not trying to match their technology, Sarah continued, bringing up comparison charts. We're adapting it, making it our own. The Valari built their empire on technological superiority, but they've become inflexible. They don't innovate because they haven't needed to. We're doing the opposite. In testing chambers across the facility, human soldiers trained with hybrid weapons, Valari energy weapons modified with human targeting systems, quantum shields paired with conventional armor, faster-than-light drives jury-rigged to work with Earth's existing spacecraft. Nothing was elegant, but everything was lethal. Their biggest weakness, Rodriguez added, addressing the assembled leaders, is their predictability. The Valari have fought the same way for centuries because it's always worked. They expect other species to either match their technology level or be helpless against it. They don't expect this. He gestured to a nearby testing range, where a soldier demonstrated their newest innovation. The weapon looked like a standard human rifle, but it fired bullets surrounded by quantum fields, primitive projectiles modified to pierce the most advanced shields in the galaxy. The Valari would never have conceived of such a hybrid, considering it beneath them. "We've got more," Sarah said, her excitement barely contained. The data from the boarding actions showed us how their internal systems work. We can't match their quantum computers, but we can hack them using brute force methods they never protected against. Why guard against something so primitive? The meeting continued for hours as humanity's defenders planned and prepared. They knew the Valari would return, probably with an even larger fleet. But this time, Earth would be ready with weapons and tactics the Empire had never seen before. In orbit, the first of Earth's new defenders took shape. They weren't the sleek, perfect ships of the Valari, but rather a hodgepodge of human and alien technology. Conventional missiles were fitted with quantum warheads. Civilian ships were converted into FTL-capable bombers. Every piece of salvaged Valari tech was studied, adapted, and repurposed. "They'll still outnumber us," Rodriguez noted as the meeting drew to a close. "Their technology is still centuries ahead of ours in most areas." "True," Sarah agreed, "but they don't understand how we think. The Valari see technology as something to perfect. We see it as something to adapt, to modify, to combine in ways they'd never imagine. They fight wars of conquest. We're fighting for survival." The general nodded, understanding the distinction. The Valari Empire had never faced an opponent who could take their own technology and transform it into something new, something unpredictable. They had never encountered a species that viewed defeat as a learning opportunity rather than the end. As the Earth's new defensive grid came online, a mix of Valari-derived quantum shields and human nuclear weapons, humanity prepared for round two. Their cities were rebuilt with hidden bunkers and defensive systems. Their armies trained with weapons that merged the best of both worlds. Their scientists worked tirelessly to understand and improve upon stolen alien technology. In her lab, Sarah made one final modification to the quantum shield prototype. The Valari version was perfectly calibrated, flawlessly engineered. Her version was rough, unstable, and 10 times more powerful because it didn't care about elegance or efficiency. It just had to work long enough to give humanity a fighting chance. "Let them come," she muttered, watching the shield flicker with untamed energy. "This time, we'll show them what happens when you back humans into a corner. This time, we'll show them why adaptability beats perfection every time." The next Valari ship to enter Earth's atmosphere would find a very different world than the one they'd left behind. They would find a civilization that had taken their technology and transformed it into something new, something unpredictable. They would find that humanity had done what they considered impossible, merged the primitive with the advanced to create something entirely new. The human element wasn't about matching Valari technology. It was about changing the rules of the game entirely. And in that arena, humanity had no equal. Commander Maya Patel stood on the bridge of the ESS Prometheus, Earth's first hybrid warship, watching as her crew prepared for what could only be described as organized insanity. The ship itself was a testament to human ingenuity. A salvaged Valari cruiser skeleton filled with human modifications and improvements that would have made any proper Imperial engineer faint from horror. "Final systems check," she announced, her voice steady despite the tension. "Status report. Quantum drive is stable. Mostly," Lieutenant Chen reported from engineering, his hands dancing over controls that merged holographic Valari interfaces with human touchscreens. "The power coupling is holding at 87% efficiency. Not pretty, but it'll work." That was the unofficial motto of humanity's resistance now. Not pretty, but it'll work. The Prometheus exemplified this philosophy. Where Valari ships were elegant and streamlined, the Prometheus bristled with additional weapons, jury-rigged sensors, and experimental systems that defied conventional design philosophy. "Contact," the sensor operator called out. Valari patrol fleet detected at the edge of the Kuiper Belt. 3 destroyers, standard search pattern. Maya allowed herself a small smile. The Valari were nothing if not predictable. After their initial retreat, they had been sending regular patrols to monitor Earth's recovery, Always the same formation, always the same approach vector, always following the same protocols that had served them for centuries. "Begin Operation Trojan," Maya ordered. "Let's show them something new." The Prometheus's hybrid engines hummed to life, but instead of the clean quantum fields the Valeri used, these drove created a chaotic mess of energy signatures. To Valeri sensors, the ship would appear to be malfunctioning, a piece of their own technology failing catastrophically. "Distress signal ready," communications reported, using standard Valeri emergency protocols. The trap was set. Maya had spent months studying Valeri military procedures, looking for holes in their perfect, unchanging system. The Empire's greatest strength, its rigid adherence to protocol, was about to become its greatest weakness. "Broadcast the signal," she commanded. "Make it look good." The Prometheus began broadcasting the Valeri equivalent of an SOS, its energy signature deliberately unstable. To the approaching patrol, it would appear to be a damaged Imperial vessel in need of assistance. Imperial protocol mandated that they investigate, and more importantly, that they follow specific procedures while doing so. "They're taking the bait," Tactical reported. "All 3 destroyers are altering course to intercept. Standard rescue formation." Maya nodded. The Valeri were doing exactly what their protocols demanded, executing a perfectly choreographed rescue operation. They hadn't even considered that someone might use their own procedures against them. Quantum field signatures indicate they're lowering shields to prepare for emergency docking, sensors added, just as predicted. "Now," Maya ordered. The Prometheus's chaotic energy signature suddenly stabilized, but not into anything the Valeri would recognize. The hybrid chip systems, part alien, part human, all dangerous, powered up in sequences that no Imperial computer could predict or counter. From concealed bays along the hull, dozens of small objects launched silently into space. They looked like debris, which is exactly what Valeri sensors classify them as. The destroyer's automated systems, programmed to ignore such harmless objects, didn't even register them as threats. "Boarding packages away," Tactical confirmed. "Impact in 30 seconds." The debris was actually a human innovation. Quantum-shielded boarding pods carrying teams of soldiers equipped with hybrid weapons and armor. While the Valeri focused on the apparently damaged ship ahead of them, these pods silently attached to their hulls. "They're hailing us," communications reported. "Standard rescue protocols." "Return signal," Maya replied. "Keep them focused on us." The next few minutes were chaos. The boarding pods, using modified Valeri cutting tools combined with human explosive charges, breached the destroyer's hulls simultaneously. Teams of Earth soldiers, trained specifically for this mission, stormed into the Valeri ships. The Imperial Marines aboard the destroyers were caught completely off guard. Their combat protocols were designed to repel conventional boarding actions, not this hybrid warfare that combined primitive human weapons with advanced alien technology. The boarders' weapons, conventional firearms modified to fire quantum-enhanced bullets, tore through Valeri personal shields that had been calibrated to stop energy weapons. "First destroyer's bridge is secured," came the report from Team Alpha. 2 minutes to system access. Maya watched as her plan unfolded. The Valeri's rigid protocols, their unwavering procedures, had allowed a single damaged ship to compromise an entire patrol fleet. It was a lesson humanity had learned early. Sometimes the best way to defeat superior technology was to make it work against itself. "Download complete," Team Better reported from the second destroyer. "We have their patrol data, communication codes, and tactical updates." "Third destroyer is resisting," Team Charlie added, the sound of gunfire in the background. "But their internal defenses weren't designed to handle physical projectiles. We're advancing deck by deck." Within 20 minutes, all 3 Valeri destroyers had been captured. Their crews, trained to fight against enemies of equal or greater technological sophistication, had been completely unprepared for humans wielding hybrid weapons and unconventional tactics. "Begin Phase 2, Maya ordered. download everything, and prepare the packages for delivery to Earth. The captured destroyers were a goldmine of intelligence, but they were also something more. Proof that humanity's approach was working. By combining Valari technology with human ingenuity, by turning the Empire's rigid protocols against itself, Earth had scored its first real victory. As Maya compiled her report to Earth Command, she couldn't help but appreciate the irony. The Valari had spent centuries perfecting their technology, their procedures, their tactics. They had created a system so perfect that it had become predictable, inflexible, vulnerable to anyone willing to think differently. Send word to command. She instructed her communications officer. Operation Trojan successful. Tell them. She paused, allowing herself a moment of satisfaction. Tell them we're bringing home some new toys to play with. The Prometheus and its prizes began their journey back to Earth, leaving behind only confusion in the perfect protocols of the Valari Empire. The next patrol would be more cautious, would likely change their procedures, but that was fine. Humanity was counting on it. After all, adapting to change was what humans did best. Fleet Admiral James Chen watched the holographic display aboard the ESS Defiance as 500 Earth ships emerged from quantum space at the edge of the Valari colony system. Each vessel was a unique fusion of human innovation and stolen alien technology, no two exactly alike. The Valari would have found the lack of uniformity horrifying. That was exactly the point. All ships reporting ready, his tactical officer announced. The Valari defense fleet is responding exactly as intelligence predicted. Of course they were. The data stolen during Operation Trojan had revealed something crucial about Valari military doctrine. They had exactly 47 standard responses to any given tactical situation. No more, no less. Perfect, precise, and utterly predictable. Launch the first wave, Chen ordered. Let's show them something they've never seen before. From the Earth fleet's forward sections, thousands of small objects deployed. To Valari sensors, they appeared to be standard human nuclear missiles. Primitive weapons their quantum shields could easily deflect. The colony's defensive grid powered up, preparing to swat aside these obsolete threats. They're taking the bait, Tactical reported. Defense grid is focusing on the missiles. What the Valari didn't realize was that only 1 in 10 of the incoming objects was actually a weapon. The rest were quantum-cloaked infiltration pods carrying Earth's newest innovation, viral AI programs designed to infect and corrupt Valari computer systems. Infection pods are through their outer perimeter, the cyber warfare officer announced. Beginning system penetration. The Valari had never needed to defend against cyber attacks. Their quantum computers were so advanced that no known species could hack them. But humans hadn't tried to match Valari computing power. They'd found a way around it. The viral AIs were deliberately primitive, using brute force methods that Valari systems weren't designed to detect or stop. First wave of defense satellites is compromised, Cyber reported with satisfaction, turning their weapons on the secondary defense grid. Now, chaos erupted in the Valari defense network as their own satellites began firing on each other. The Imperial fleet commanders, bound by protocol, followed their standard procedures for dealing with malfunctioning defense systems. They never considered that the malfunctions were intentional. Second wave, deploy, Chen commanded. This time, the Earth fleet launched what appeared to be escape pods, the same kind humans had used in their desperate defense of Earth. The Valari, having learned from that encounter, diverted significant firepower to intercept these potential suicide weapons. But these weren't suicide weapons. They were delivery systems for Earth's greatest advantage, its soldiers. Teams of humans in hybrid combat suits, armed with weapons that combined Valari energy technology with good old-fashioned ballistics, began boarding the Imperial warships. Ground teams reporting successful penetration of primary targets, Ground Ops announced. Beginning internal operations, the Valari were facing something unprecedented. An enemy that attacked not just their ships and shields, but their computers, their protocols, and their assumptions. Every time they adapted to one human tactic, 3 more appeared. Their perfect formations were disrupted by ships that refused to follow any predictable pattern. Their advanced targeting systems were confused by vessels that appeared to be damaged, only to suddenly reveal hidden weapons. Their flagship is signaling, communications reported. They're requesting a ceasefire. Chen allowed himself a grim smile. The mighty Valari Empire requesting a ceasefire against primitives. It would have been unthinkable 6 months ago. "Show me their fleet status," he ordered. A holographic display told the story. A third of their defense satellites had been turned against them. Half their capital ships had been boarded, their crews fighting desperate battles against human soldiers who didn't play by any rules the Valari understood. Their perfect defensive formations had been shattered by attacks that came from impossible angles, using technologies that shouldn't have worked together. "Accept the ceasefire," Chen commanded. "But keep all systems at combat ready. Prepare boarding teams for the colony's primary defense stations." As the battle subsided, Chen received reports from throughout the system. Human forces had achieved their primary objectives with minimal losses. The Valari colony's defenses had been compromised, its fleet neutralized, and its command structure thrown into disarray. But more importantly, they had proven something vital. Humanity could not only fight the Valari Empire, they could win. Not through superior technology or overwhelming numbers, but through innovation, adaptation, and the willingness to try things that no sane species would consider. "Send word to Earth," Chen ordered. "Phase 1 successful. The colony is effectively neutralized. Request permission to begin Phase 2. As his message was transmitted back to Earth via quantum channels the humans had modified to be untraceable, Chen studied the Valari ships on his display. They were beautiful, perfect machines of war, created by a civilization that had grown too accustomed to being unbeatable. "Sir," his XO asked quietly, "do you think they understand yet what they're really fighting?" Chen shook his head. "No, they still think this is about technology, about military power. They haven't realized that they're not just fighting human weapons or tactics. They're fighting human nature itself, our ability to adapt, to improvise, to do the unexpected." He paused, watching as human boarding teams secured another Valari vessel. "And that," he added, "is a battle they were never prepared to fight." The counterstrike had succeeded beyond their most optimistic projections, but this was just the beginning. Humanity had shown the galaxy that the Valari Empire wasn't invincible. Now they would show them what happened when humans decided to take the fight to the enemy. Phase 2 would begin soon, and with it, the real war would start. Supreme Commander Kitath stood before the Imperial Council, his scales dulled with fatigue, trying to explain how a primitive species had managed to push the mighty Valari Empire to the brink of defeat. The council chamber's crystalline walls, usually shimmering with the collected wisdom of millennia, seemed dimmer today. "They don't fight like anything we've encountered," he explained, projecting a hologram of Earth's hybrid warships. "Every defeat teaches them. Every victory costs us. They're not trying to match our technology. They're transforming it." The council members watched as the hologram showed human vessels, each one unique, using combinations of technology that should have been impossible. Valari quantum drives paired with crude nuclear reactors, Imperial shield generators modified to create weapons, computer systems that merged primitive human AI with advanced Valari hardware. In the 3 months since they captured our colony in the Arcturus sector, they've launched 67 attacks on Imperial targets. Kitath continued. "No 2 attacks used the same tactics. Our protocols, our doctrine, our technological superiority. They've turned everything we rely on into a weakness." First Speaker Velexis, her crystalline form radiating concern, leaned forward. "How is this possible? They were barely capable of interplanetary travel when we found them." "Because we'd fundamentally misunderstood their nature," Kitath replied. "We thought technological advancement was linear, that species developed along predictable paths. The humans proved us wrong. They don't advance. They adapt. They don't perfect. They innovate. He brought up another hologram, showing a human boarding team taking control of a Valari dreadnought. The soldiers moved in ways that defied Imperial combat doctrine, using hybrid weapons that bypassed defenses designed to stop much more advanced arms. This morning, we lost contact with the Centaurus defense fleet, Ketath announced, causing a wave of murmurs through the council. The humans didn't destroy it. They turned it. 17 capital ships, their crews convinced to defect after seeing how humans have improved upon our technology. Improved. Second Speaker Mereth scoffed. Their modifications are crude, inefficient, and devastatingly effective. Ketath interrupted. They sacrifice perfection for adaptability. Where we spend decades perfecting a weapon, they create 10 different versions, each designed to exploit a different weakness. They learn from every encounter, every battle, every defeat. He paused, letting his next words carry their full weight. And now they're sharing that knowledge with others. The council chamber erupted in alarm. The hologram shifted to show various subject worlds of the Empire, where human advisors were teaching others how to modify Valari technology, how to fight in ways the Empire had never conceived. The humans call it open-source warfare, Ketath explained. They're not just fighting us. They're teaching every species we've conquered how to resist us. And these species are learning, adapting, just as humanity did. First Speaker Velaxis raised a crystalline appendage for silence. What are your recommendations, Supreme Commander? Ketath took a deep breath. What he was about to propose went against everything the Empire had stood for over millennia of expansion. We must sue for peace, he said firmly. Not from weakness, but from wisdom. The humans don't want to destroy us. They've proven that by sparing captured crews, by offering surrender terms to every fleet they've engaged. They want to change us. He brought up a final hologram, a transmission from Earth's United Defense Council. They're offering an exchange, their innovation for our stability. They believe we can learn from each other. And after seeing what they've accomplished in less than a year, he let the thought hang. The council chamber was silent for a long moment. The Empire had never negotiated as equals with a technologically inferior species. But then, they'd never encountered a species like humanity before. There's something else you should see, Ketath added, playing one final recording. It showed a human scientist working alongside a Valari engineer, combining their technologies in ways neither species had imagined possible. This is from yesterday. They're already showing us how to improve our own technology, how to think differently. First Speaker Velaxis studied the image for a long moment. You believe this is our best path forward. I believe it's our only path forward, Ketath replied. We can remain perfect and stagnant, or we can learn to adapt and grow. The humans have shown us that there's more than one way to advance. As the council debated, Ketath reflected on his first encounter with Earth, how he had dismissed humans as primitives. He understood now what he hadn't then. True advancement wasn't about achieving perfection. It was about having the courage to try new things, to fail, to learn, and to keep pushing forward. The Valari Empire had conquered through technological superiority. Humanity had defended itself through innovation and adaptation. Now perhaps both species could learn from each other, creating something greater than either could achieve alone. The council has reached a decision. First Speaker Velaxis announced, "We will extend an offer of alliance to Earth, not as conquerors or conquered, but as equals. It is time for the Empire to learn a new way." As Ketath left the council chamber, he allowed himself to imagine a future where Valari perfection merged with human innovation. The Empire would never be the same. And that, he realized, was exactly what they needed. The humans hadn't just won a war. They had shown the galaxy a new way to advance, to grow, to evolve. And in doing so, they had achieved something far greater than military victory. They had taught the Valari Empire how to change. The age of perfect, unchanging expansion was over. The age of innovation had begun.